The U.S. Air Force launches a test missile from California today. It comes amid tensions with North Korea as that nation develops its own intercontinental ballistic missile system. Before the president signed the Russia sanction bill, I spoke to one of the president's deputy assistants outside a noisy White House where construction is taking place. Joining us from the White House is Sebastian Gorka, deputy assistant to the president. Dr. Gorka, North Korea launched 2 intercontinental ballistic missiles in July. Tensions are pretty high. Yesterday, President Trump said we'll handle North Korea. What does he mean by that?
Exactly what he said. We will handle it. This is a president that doesn't just talk. He doesn't facilitate bad actors like the last administration. But at the same time, we don't give our playbook away. It's a bad idea when you're playing poker. It's an even worse idea when you're dealing with regimes like North Korea. So until this moment, we have exerted what we call a program of peaceful pressure. We had high expectations after the Mar-a-Lago summit that Beijing would step up to the plate and exert its inordinate pressure on Pyongyang. That did not happen. The president is displeased with the lack of results from the Mar-a-Lago summit. So now we're going to look at other options.
Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says North Korea is not our enemy in the sense that the U.S. is not looking for a regime change. So Tillerson, as you mentioned, wants help from China. What could China do? In other words, what pressure can China imply?
China has absolutely massive potential to help de-escalate the problems on the Korean Peninsula. So whether it's diplomatic, whether it's economic, whether it's discussions, China is in the driving seat right now. But we will not allow the national security of our partners or of our citizens to be held hostage by inaction by China. China can help. We will see if they do.
The president says he intends to sign a bill imposing sanctions against Russia that was passed by Congress, but the president says he's not completely pleased by it in the sense that he thinks that sanctions won't help the administration's diplomatic efforts with Russia. In your view, what's the best strategy to use with Russia?
Let's quote the president himself. In one of the last press conferences he gave in Trump Tower, he was asked about future relations with the Kremlin, with Vladimir Putin. And the president gave the best expression of how we look at relations with Moscow. And he said, in theory, we would like to have better relations with Russia. Remember, Russia is a nuclear nation. It's a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. So we'd like to have better relations with a country that has geopolitical importance. However, he added, right now, it doesn't look very likely, and if that is the case, so be it. So, you know, the president is a pragmatist. He'd like to be able to collaborate. It is a very, very good sign that we have a continuing ceasefire in Syria, which we negotiated with Jordan and with Russia. So that's a good sign. But that doesn't mean that things are perfect with the relations we have with Moscow.
Well, finally, Congress continues to probe into Russian meddling and possible collusion with the Trump campaign, but you say the media is ignoring another story about Obama officials. Tell us more about that.
The Clinton campaign's connections to Russia. Herself, Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State, had to sign off on the 20% of uranium sold to Russia as her husband was getting speaking fees of $500,000 from Russia, as her foundation was getting donations from the same companies. If you want to look at the real story of the perversion of the intelligence community, it's what we have to label as the unmasking scandal. It is coming out that more and more top officials, including Ben Rhodes, including the Obama administration's ambassador to the United Nations, were unmasking U.S. individuals' names on intelligence intercepts in an unprecedented fashion. And now we hear that they were even relaxing the rules on unmasking the names of members of Congress caught up in intelligence intercepts. That, if that is proven to be factually true, it is a massive scandal that will make Watergate look like a small incident in the kindergarten.
So many important issues on President Trump's plate. Sebastian Gorka, Deputy Assistant to the President, thanks so much for talking with us.
Thank you, Wyatt.